Hello, this is Morten Impenio. In this video I will talk about general copyright rules for website content. So let's get started. First of all, it's important for me to say that I'm definitely not a lawyer and I'm definitely not an expert in specific legal rules. So don't see it as a legal guarantee that you have seen this video. This is just meant to be some guidelines for what you should consider when you are making website content. Whether you're a software developer, a business owner for a website, or a content editor, or if you have anything to do with the content being presented on a website, there are some things you need to consider. So, as I said, I have a limited detailed knowledge when it comes to legal. So, if you want specific guidelines for very specific questions, please contact a legal advisor in that case. My knowledge for copyright rules on the web comes from my background as a software developer. I've been a software developer for many years. I have worked with website content on very large enterprise websites, but also on smaller websites, and I have been involved in a number of legal cases from that experience. So my knowledge is not from working with legal directly. I have an assumption for this presentation. My assumption is that many people are not aware of the rules, or maybe they don't realize how important it is to follow the rules. Another thing is why this is relevant is that copying of content is very, very easy when you work on the web. So I remember like 20 years ago when I was working as a teacher, there were specific rules for which content we could copy when it came to physical books, when it came to teaching materials we could bring into the class. When we copied content from a book, you needed to go with your book into a specific room to a copying machine, and maybe the book didn't fit, and well, it was easy to make copies, but not that easy. When we're working with the web, it's just a few clicks on the mouse and then you have content copied into a website. So it's very, very easy. If you choose to copy content into your website, you must be aware that it can be very expensive. If you don't apply to the rules of copyright, then you would risk to pay a big amount of money for that. And the risk is there. So copying content, you can also put it into a word like plagiarism. So what is that? It's if you look it in the Oxford Dictionary, it's the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. And sometimes it's good to change the view, because you may think, oh, why can't I use this image on my website? I don't have a lot of visitors on my website and I didn't really think about it. Why can't I copy these few lines from another website? Why can't I use this music on my website? And I think it shouldn't matter. I have 10 visitors a week. It shouldn't matter if I use it. But if you turn it around and you may have used a number of hours to get the perfect photo, and then at some time you find that a lot of people are using your photo, just copying it, you may think it would have been nice if they paid you a little bit, or at least if they asked you for permission. The same goes if you at some point wrote a very detailed article about a specific topic and then at some point you find that some people are using a big amount of your content on another website, and they didn't ask you, they didn't pay you, anything else. So to get an understanding of the victim, you could try to change the perspective so you see it as yourself being copied for some content you have used a lot of time to create. No matter if you agree or not, it's still illegal. Okay, in the context of web, plagiarism means stealing content from someone else. And stealing content is a broad term because it could be, as I said, images. It could also be a logo. It could be part of images. It could be part of text. So it could be any content from another website or from a book, a text, or anything else. So as I said, content is text. We know that, but it's definitely also images. It's also videos. So if you choose to embed a video on another website, you know it's very easy from YouTube to embed a video into your website. You need to check if you have the right to do so. The same goes for sounds. It could be a jingle or similar, and it could be music from another artist. So you need to check, and you need to be careful when using content which you didn't create yourself. For the logos, there are additional rules because, of course, you shouldn't copy logos, but you should also be very careful about manipulating logos. Most companies have very strict rules on their logos, and they are very strict on people using their logos for any purpose, you could say. So, for example, if you're making blogs or a website about how to use Photoshop or any other image manipulating program, don't use a logo from a company, and don't stretch the logo, don't manipulate the colors of the logo and so on, because that's simply not okay. In general, you can say don't use a logo if it's not yours, but you can always ask permission. Let's say that you have this website, and on this website you have a page which sponsors, and you were so lucky that some company sponsored your web page or your website. Then reach out to the company and say, can I present your logo next to a text showing that you sponsored the website? Then I guess most companies would say yes, because that's in a good context. But always reach out and ask to get permission. It is your responsibility. If you're the website owner, it is your responsibility, nobody else. You cannot say, there are no excuses, no valid excuses. You cannot say, I didn't know. You cannot say, I assumed. You cannot say, I saw this video of Morten and Penja speaking about it and he didn't mention this area. I'm not mentioning all areas. If you read text about it, there may be areas which are not covered. When you are doing websites, it's your responsibility. You can actually easily check if content is copied into, let's say that you have this website and you put a lot of energy in writing some nice content about a specific topic. Then you can easily check if that content is copied. There are several online tools for doing so. I wrote one down here, which is a plagiarism checker. It's not 100%. It wouldn't find any content on the internet because the internet is quite big, as I guess you already know. But it's a good checker to see if your content has been copied. The same goes for images. There are tools for doing that. So if you thought that I can copy some content. Nobody would find out because my website is not that famous. No, think again, because there are tools for looking it up. So that doesn't really matter if your website is famous or not. These tools don't care if your website is famous. So what is okay to do? Now we spoke about what is not okay. As I said, it's not yours unless it actually is yours. So that's a good rule of thumb. So if you didn't create it, assume that it's not yours and you cannot use it unless you get permission. If it is yours, then it is yours. If you took a photo, then the photo by default is yours. If you create the text yourself, it is yours. So that's the two main rules you can always follow. If you want to use photos, you can use Pixabay, and at the next slide I'll come up with additional links to websites which offers free images and free stuff for the internet. But when you use these websites, you should still read into the rules of each photo, just to be on the safe side. There's also a link here to something called Pixels, where you can get videos. You may want to use some videos in a presentation or something like that. So there are places where you can find that. It's also okay to use what is called lorem ipsum text. It's used a lot on the internet. When you create websites, you may not have all your content. Then you can use lorem ipsum text, which is basically just a long Latin text, which is okay to copy in as a default text until you get the right text from an editor or from a business. And if in doubt, don't use it. Next steps would be for you to realize that it is, if you're working with web in any case, copyright rules are relevant for you. You cannot just say it's, oh, I thought the developer would do that. I thought the content editor would be careful. I thought it was not my responsibility. I'm just the business owner. It's everybody's responsibility. So it's also yours. It's also mine. And be critical. Always be critical about what to use. Take the discussion. Reach out. Do something if you are in doubt. And for free images, I put these websites which I'm using sometimes. There's a website called Photobucket. Pixabay I'm using a lot. It's easy and it has a lot of content. Pixels is also a good opportunity. So is Visual Hunt and PicJumbo. But there are many more out there, so you can Google free images, read into the detailed information about how to use it and what is okay to use and what is not okay. The same goes for videos or whatever content you like to. If you like to use sounds, for example, you can also find places with sounds. You can also find places where musicians put their numbers, their music in for free, so you can use it. So there are a lot of opportunities. So in that context, you can also not give that as an excuse. There are plenty of content which you can use, but you may need to do something actively to find it. So please consider all my topics here when you use web content, and you should be safe if you are skeptical. So good luck with your web pages, guys. Take care and have a nice day.